If you were invincible, what fight would you have to struggle to win?
Listen, I want to hear an embarrassing story about Ravin.
I didn't join the army out of fear. That's for sure.
We all got him, didn't we, guys? Huh? Welcome to the GOAT Show, the show where we celebrate and debate all things great. I am joined by my co-host, Fresh. Fresh, what's going on today with you, man, on this beautiful Wednesday morning here? And well, it's in Florida for me, but for you, it's in Toronto. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Enjoying my coffee, enjoying the morning. Excited for a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to today's conversation. We will be interviewing someone I believe is going to be the greatest guest ever on the show. I don't think there will ever be a greater guest on our show than the guest we have today. And you'll find out soon why that's going to be the case, because I know in the future we got big plans on this show. All right, everybody. We want to interview the big one, the big great goats well into the future. But today there's just a guest. This person has something that I just think none of these other guests are ever going to have. And I'll tell you about them in a second. But before I do, y'all know what to do. Like the show. Subscribe to the show. If you're on Insta or Twitter or whatever, follow us. Okay? Hit that bell. Gotta hit the bell. And then if you really enjoy the show, you should share it with your friends. And if we piss you off, we might say some things today that you don't agree with. That's okay. Write it in the comments. But don't write stupid ass comments, all right? You need to make us they need to be entertaining or informative. That's all we ask for the comments. But anyway, without further ado, my guest today, let's just talk about all the accomplishments this person has done. Because they are a GOAT in my mind. First, they were in the military. I say they, Fresh, because that's what you got to do nowadays. You got to say they. You can't say
Fuck that. He
was in the military. He was a special operator there. So we're going to talk to him about that experience. He is the CEO of a new startup called Cyasoon, which is very exciting and I think is going to change the face of social interaction in the future. So, and on top of that, he's just a great person. I've known him literally my entire life. Okay. He is my brother from the same mother, none other than Ketan Chand. And yes, he is my actual brother for anybody who's watching. You may know me as Zilly, but my real name is Ravin Chand. I'm totally doxxed now. And this is my brother, Ketan. Ketan, how you doing today? You are in New York City, correct?
That's right. I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on your show, little brother.
He's my older brother.
Awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah. So we'll get into maybe a little bit of roasting and embarrassing stories or whatever brotherly tales down the road on the show. But Fresh wants us to roast each other at some point.
Listen, I want to hear an embarrassing story about Ravin. That's where I'm at.
I have plenty of embarrassing stories that I can think of, but I've a hard time pulling up embarrassing stories about my brother. So he may have the upper hand in that regard. But to start the show, Ketan, tell the people out there who may be watching this, give us the superhero origin story.
Wow. Okay. Superhero origin story. First of all, I'm not a superhero in any way whatsoever, but I know what you're saying. Let's begin.
Wait, hold on. Before you do, if you could have one superpower, what would be your superpower?
Oh gosh, if I could have one superpower, it'd be, oh man, probably read other people's minds.
I don't think I could handle that.
Read other people's minds, and I can turn it on and off whenever I want.
Okay.
That's the key, because you'd get information overload.
So you'd be in like a business meeting or something, and you could read the room literally.
Absolutely.
And then turn it off and do your thing.
I mean, now, hey, I mean, you can get that. Well, you can kind of develop that superpower over time by just being able to read people and body language and whatnot. That's something that I'm like on that journey. But that's like my current. That's the power that I want, or am trying to acquire. So yeah, man. That would be a start. I wouldn't want just one superpower.
I
What the
know.
ball?
I think
You
I
know,
think
like,
my 2 choices, which I go back and forth on every day, one would be the ability to freeze time. So I could freeze time, do work for 3
okay.
hours,
Oh,
turn
yeah,
it
yeah.
back on, and I wouldn't lose any time.
Right. Yeah,
Or
you live forever, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or the other
Maybe.
power would be to divide myself into, like, multiple man, divide myself into 10 people so that I can multitask better.
Okay.
Like, one
Wow.
person can.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Not the
Bro,
super.
fuck being better for the man. That's crazy. Like, I don't want to be more productive at work. I want to go like invisible, or I want to be able to fly.
I mean, if you go invisible, I guess I would like to go invisible to be able to go into, like, the Pentagon or something and hear the secrets and learn about aliens and be in rooms that I'm not privy to.
That's a cool one too.
That's why I'd wanna be invisible, and flying, I don't know, flying to me, if I couldn't get injured flying, then it would be cool. If I was like Superman.
They never show you the guys who fly falling and, like, killing themselves
Right,
because they can control their
right.
Or
landing,
like the
you
bugs
know?
in their eyes as they're flying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, exactly. They never go into any of those details. No, yeah, just being able to read minds, nothing crazy. Because see, here's the thing: if you have a superpower, okay, and if it gives you too much of an unfair advantage in the world, then what would that do for your sense of satisfaction?
Interesting.
If you were invincible, what fight would you have to struggle to win?
Well, don't isn't that like an ancient Greek proverb where it's like the gods envy humans because humans never know when their last moment is?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, this could turn into like a huge like metaphysical, philosophical debate on like superpowers, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Uh
mind. I mean, we can go
yeah.
there.
I think just being able to like understand and being able to turn it on and off. If see, you have to be able to turn off the power. If you can turn off the power, now you can descend from Mount Olympus and be immortal and enjoy mortality.
Right, right.
As opposed to, the other way around where it's like now you're trapped in this world where damn it, I don't want to be all powerful. I don't want to be.
So even with immortality, I think that
Yeah,
I would want to be able to be killed. Like you don't die from old age, but if somebody kills you, you would die.
that's a cool one. Yeah, yeah. The Highlander thing where you cut the head off and then that's the only way you die. Otherwise, you live forever. That's a good one
Right.
too.
Yeah, you gotta have, like, a weakness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's got, and it's always got to be a weakness. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, man, superhero story. Gosh, okay. I mean, you know it just as much as I do. I mean, hell, you lived pretty much the first 18 years of your superhero story with me. And it basically, right, it started in the South of the
Yep.
United States in Virginia, the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't call it nowhere, but it
It was
definitely had only,
nowhere.
it is.
It's nowhere.
Yeah, I go back and forth between whether calling it nowhere or yes where. But yeah, it was small town Virginia in Appalachia. It was a little town called Bluefield, Virginia, right across, not Bluefield, West Virginia. Big difference.
Bluefield,
Bluefield,
Virginia.
Virginia. Yes.
Let me ask you this. I never asked you this. Do you feel like there's a status difference between being in Bluefield? This is real inside baseball here, but is there a status difference between being in Bluefield, Virginia or West Virginia?
No, 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 no. It's not a status difference. It is a identity difference. Okay.
Okay.
If you're from Bluefield, Virginia, well, you're a part of the agrarian, you know, South, right?
Okay.
The Jeffersonian agrarian South.
Mhm.
But if you're from Bluefield, West Virginia, now you're a coal miner. You are a part of, you know,
Right.
16 tons, right? Tennessee Ernie Ford in the coal mine and stuff like that, That's the difference
Right.
in the identity. And I identified more with like the agrarian South and growing up there as opposed to being like, a part of coal country and coal
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
So that's really it. They're both tiny little like towns, in the
Just to be clear for anybody who may be watching, so Bluefield, Virginia is right on the border between West Virginia and Virginia, literally smack dab. It's cut in half basically. And that area of Virginia is the southwestern part. So it's It's definitely coal country. It's definitely rural. The closest city I think is what Roanoke or no, the closest city is Blacksburg.
I would honestly say the closest real city is Charlotte, North Carolina, to the like 3 hours to the south, or maybe Charleston, West Virginia, which is the capital of that state. But you could say maybe not even Charlottesville. It's just, oh man, Virginia. It's like you've got Washington, D.C., you've got Norfolk and all of like the eastern cities right there around all the Navy bases. You've got Richmond, and then there's this huge swath of the state that is like out into the mountains. And that's where I grew up. That's where I went to school. And yeah, I was dad was cornering the market. He was already kind of like doing the business thing with his medical practice. Surprise, surprise, Indian guy from a medical family, you know. Uh Shocker.
To be fair, there's a little bit of motel hotel going on.
Oh, of course. I mean, hell, we're not just Indian, we're Gujarati, okay? And so, hey, hospitality industry is right up our alley. Okay. So yeah, I grew up operating motels, during my summers. It was an investment, right? No, it was a nightmare for my childhood. Um, yeah. But hey, right? That's it. That's where I grew up. It's the only Indian kid in the town. I think there were actually that's not true. I think there were probably like four others in town. Um, and at least our age. Everybody else was at least like 5, 6 years older, and they went on to do other things, all medical as well.
There was an Indian community, but in terms of well, also again, the divide between Virginia and West Virginia, there was Graham High School, and then there was Bluefield High School,
Yeah, yeah, Graham High School.
and Graham did not have many Indians. From yeah,
No, there were like I said, there were like 4 of us, and I mean, mind you, it wasn't that big of a school anyway. It was some small town, kinda school. Uh, Football loving, sports crazed students and parents and teachers, and like, it was a football town. Graham G-Men, right? The G-Men,
the
which
G
is
men.
even more of an interesting mascot for a high school team, the G-Men, which was like some like ATF agent back in the day. So like, what the hell? It's like I go to a school with an ATF agent as my mascot? Fuck that, like, hell, I
It
hate
would
the
have a
ATF.
different meaning
So, yeah.
today. It would be the Goat Men, or it would be like the Greatest Men, or it'd be something like that.
G-men would be the gangster men.
So, okay, so it was like the mountain town, right? And, like, kind of
Mm,
the bad guys of the community were the moonshiners in the
mm,
hills.
mm,
And, like, they were causing all kinds of trouble. They were, like, actually, like, getting into crimes, and they were causing mischief, and they were beating people up in town square and stuff. I don't know. I hear these like little
oh
tales
wow,
from the
okay.
crypt. Yeah, and then the G-men were there to like save the day, maybe, and that's what people looked up to. I don't know. I don't know where they came up with it, but they needed something to go with Graham because, like, the name of the town was not originally Bluefield; it was Graham, and they
Right.
changed the name of the town to match. You probably have no viewers right now; they're probably bored out of their mind listening to this, but you're gonna hear it, guys. The name of the town was changed to match the larger West Virginia town, Bluefield.
Okay. I'll listen, Bluefield, listen, Graham. You got to follow us. Where else are you going to get this kind of historical
All of our
reference and
followers
content?
will be from Graham, Virginia. Bluefield, Virginia. Yeah. All of
Great
your
town. Go
followers,
visit.
yeah. But, and here's the funny thing about it, though. Like, what the hell were we doing in this town? Like, why? Why? Right?
Yeah.
And it's because we're really not like, and I was, talking about this with a friend earlier this week. We have the most eclectic identities,
Mm,
okay? Because we're Indians, okay, in Virginia, small town Virginia, okay?
mhm,
So the South, 5,000 people were in this town, but our dad came from the Fiji Islands. in the South Pacific. And and our mom was from Gujarat in India.
Sorry to interrupt, but I I get annoyed having to explain
Yes,
my history.
this blows. It sucks. This is why, Blofeld from James Bond probably ended up the master villain that he was. He was this international guy with no roots or identity,
Right, right.
as he was just this guy, and so he lives in a freaking castle and, like, some island in a cave, and think of Blofeld's
I know.
origin story. How sick would that be? Okay, so we and this yeah, America's home, okay? Like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
America. Yeah, America. Yeah, America's home. But you're right. Yeah. All of America, okay? Um, just I'm in New York right now, right? Before I was in New York, I was in Denver. I still have real estate out in the Rockies out there in Wyoming, of all places. Um, Before that, I was in the Army in North Carolina pretty much the entire time. Then I was in the Guard and I was in West Virginia and Colorado. And then before that, I was in Washington, D.C. And then he's in, I'm not going to dox you, but, I go down south, still. I go up north. I'm out west, California, San Francisco. I go there a lot now for the company. It's just Texas. Like I've got roots everywhere now in the United States, and we still have roots in the South Pacific. Dad was from Fiji, and there's a whole like Indian civilization in that part of the world
Right.
with Fiji, New Zealand, and Australia. Like it's a thing. Like there's a big Indian community in Australia. Well, guess where I lived after Bluefield? I lived in Australia. And then after Australia, I went to Tennessee and I went to like a boarding school in Tennessee. In Tennessee, even though, hey, it's Chattanooga, that's a lot different from Bluefield, right? It's a bigger town. They have a different culture there. It's a Bible Belt town,
Mm.
right? So, sure, yeah, I grew up religious, but I'm definitely not religious even close anymore. But I was very like a believer, right? And even that town was a place that I, had trouble connecting with, even at that phase of my life. And then Washington D.C. But I would honestly say, yes, America is kind of where I have my roots. And you kind of have to make your own hometown. You have to make your own life. And for me, I guess now it's Washington D.C. That's where I kind of came into my own as a man. I went there for college. Um, I worked there, in technology for a long time, almost 10 years. Yeah, pretty much 10 years. Yeah, so basically, yeah, I was just all over, it was Chattanooga, Tennessee, went to graduated high school there, then went to college in Washington, D.C., and just had to create this life of my own and my own hometown.
Well, let me ask you something about because you and I are similar, close in age, 3 years apart. Uh, when you think back to growing up in Bluefield, growing up where we grew up, small rural town, 80s and 90s is kind of our
Yeah,
age and generation growing up.
yeah,
What do you think of that time? What are you nostalgic for anything in that time? Do you feel that there's things that are missing now
yeah.
that we had back
Oh my
then?
god, yes. Oh, hell yeah. Like, absolutely. I mean, the number one thing, okay, is being able to communicate freely with
Mm,
people. Just basic human communication is completely different now compared to then. Um, I where do I even begin? Okay, just walking up to someone, a greeting, manners, communication, where are you going? Where am I going? And building a kind of a connection or maybe a friendship or some kind of acquaintance with another human being you can't even compare how that was in the 80s and 90s and today.
When I remember when I was a teenager and I started driving, I would drive, I would drive back home, and there would be a neighbor. To this day, I still don't even know who that guy's what his name was. But there was a neighbor, and maybe this is just Bluefield. I don't know. I think this was indicative of all of kind of maybe rural America growing up at
Yeah.
least. But I would wave to him every day,
Yeah.
and he would wave back, and we
Yeah.
didn't know each
Every day.
other.
Yeah.
I never
Didn't know his
stopped to
name.
talk to him,
What's
but he
up?
would
Yeah.
smile and wave, I would smile and wave,
Right.
and it was just a way of saying, "Okay, I see you, we're buddies,"
Yeah.
and
We're in
it
this
it was just
together.
cordial.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
We're out here in this small town together. And you know what? Hi.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right. And I'll tell you, listen. Yeah.
yeah.
And for example, okay, as a comparison, I was leaving my apartment to come in today. And it's one of those flukes of the moment. I hit the button on the elevator in my building here in New York, and I'm waiting for this old 40s elevator to ding, 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 come up and open up. It's like kind of a really cool, like, it's a really slow elevator, but it's a cool elevator. Anyway, while I was waiting for it to come up, a woman, a tenant in another apartment right next to the elevator, was opening her door for her journey to work. Okay. She comes out and I look at her and she looks at me. I'm like, how's it going? Good morning. And she's like, oh, hi. Turns around. I am wearing this. I am wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and a trendy pair of shoes. Okay. And I'm friendly as I can ever be. Okay. In the morning. It's 9. It's like quarter to 9. Okay. And I'm on my way to work. She walks out and the elevator door then opens, right? I get on the elevator. She's still like, locking the door on her apartment. I get on the elevator and I'm holding open the elevator open door for her. Like 1 second, 2 second. How long does it take you to lock your door? Turn the key, it's done. Hop on the elevator. I'm holding it open for you. And I was like, what's going on here? So I'm like, oh, hey, which floor do you want? You want first floor? She's like, oh no, you can go ahead.
So
And
you
I'm
would
like,
rather wait for this
she would
1940s
rather
elevator again?
she would rather wait for the elevator to close. I
Mm,
go all the way down to the bottom floor. The elevator come all the way back up to the 6th floor. It's a slow ass 1940s elevator. And then she can get on the elevator or she just walked down 6 flights of stairs.
right.
And you
Rather,
guys live in the same building.
we are on the same floor, my man. We're on the same floor.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
I'm not joking. Okay, I go down, and all I said to her was, "Ah, good morning,"
Right.
with a smile.
Don't do
Couldn't
that.
get on the
Shame on
elevator.
you. Shame on you for being
I
nice.
Who
broke a
knows? You
rule
might be a
somewhere.
dangerous person
Somewhere I
for
broke a rule. Okay, this is the difference. Okay,
Right.
that would never, and I can't even conceive of that happening. Like growing up.
Right.
Okay, in
Well,
the
even New
80s and
York
90s,
back in
even
the
the
day,
early 2000s,
like that.
even the early 2000s. Okay, I don't
Yeah.
think so because I have not changed. My personality has not changed. I've always kind of been outgoing. I've always kind of been just a friendly person. I grew up in like a small town. Okay, I think the best out of people. I guess maybe that's a flaw,
Mm,
but I don't think that's a flaw at all. And I have social skills. I can carry a conversation. I can have an entertaining time with anybody, right? It doesn't matter. But yeah, and it's not just
yeah.
this woman. Okay. For example, it's everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody. Now, I'm in New York City, right? And maybe it's an interesting landscape. Maybe things are different and I know things were a little bit different in Denver, but there were definitely a lot of people when I was living there that were the exact same way. And this is Denver, Colorado. Okay. This is the West. These are cool people,
It's
right?
it's
I
acro
love
it's everywhere.
Western
It's
people are
everywhere.
awesome.
It's everywhere. I mean, I went to a concert last night, and I did get in conversation with one person, so it's not everybody, but generally speaking, people are siloed in their own social kind of clique, or they're, I don't know. There's a high barrier in my view. Like there's a high barrier that you have to break through to be able to just have an interaction with someone now that I feel like
Yeah.
didn't exist. Not even maybe not even 10 years
Well,
ago.
at a concert, that's weird to me, right? Because
Yeah.
at concerts, we all have something in common. We're all here.
Right.
We enjoy this artist's
Right.
music. So
Right.
normally there's like good conversation and
Right.
jokes and whatever and even if you don't know each other and the music is a little too loud, you're happy, you're vibing together,
Right.
everything's
Right.
great. But
Right.
so I find that very strange because the barrier is usually knocked down at places like concerts.
Right, right. And that, I mean, that was how I was able to get into conversation with some people, but I could tell that even if they're in conversation with you, it's almost like surprising now. They're kind of I can kind of see it in their eyes. They're surprised. Like, "Oh, I'm having a conversation about this thing that I really love with this person that I
That I
just
don't
met."
know.
And it's like, yeah, you can tell there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's fear or hesitation
What do
or
you think that's from? You think that's COVID, or do you think that's just how we've progressed?
Oh, I know exactly what it is. I mean, this is this is the sign of our times, right? And it is quite literally people at face value, right? This is not the absolute truth, but at face value, all right, on the surface, people don't really need other people. And they are
Mhm.
not only do they not need other people, people are a nuisance to you now. People are a nuisance to other people in a lot of ways. They well, let's start with they don't need each other, right? Before, and I had a conversation about this a while ago. Before, if you think back to a time before TV, a time before like the radio and mass media and broadcast and whatever, people were really the only form of entertainment that you had.
Mm.
Okay, you could sit at your house, and if you did not have a human around, you were probably pretty miserable and bored. There was nothing to do. You were looking at the same like four walls. You had to leave, go outside, or at least have somebody living with you or in really close proximity to you to get any kind of mental stimulation other than like, cooking something or eating or whatever, sleeping. You had to have some kind of mental stimulation just for your peace of mind, just for your entertainment, and it was going to come from a human, right?
Mhm.
Uh, this is why people like the Amish, they don't have radios, they don't have TVs, they don't have computers, they don't
And
even
they
have
don't have this
electricity.
problem.
Yeah, they don't have this. Yeah, they people are their entertainment. Okay, their families and their friends
There's
entertainment.
studies of the Amish, I think, right? That show that their happiness index or something like that is high.
Happiness
The
and health
Amish,
index.
yeah, the Amish, like mental health, happiness, whatever indices are the highest of any group of people in the world, other than other like cultures that are similar to the Amish, right?
Mhm.
In what they do and believe. And there's something there. Okay. That's the first part. Okay. So people don't need though other people now because guess what? We can get our entertainment from a limitless supply of new content from billions of people, okay, around the world. And hey, I'm bored. Boom, bust out TikTok, bust out Instagram, like whatever, bust out Netflix, you name it. Okay. I've got entertainment, food. I don't have to go and talk to a farmer to buy my food. I
Mm.
don't have to go to a grocery store even to get my food. I don't have to, have a discussion with a butcher or a baker or like anything like that. I just get on Instacart and it's boom, it's delivered right to my door. These are these are the situations that we're in right now that um that have created this. All learning now. You don't even have to go to school. It's all online. I mean,
Mm.
COVID, yeah. I mean, you're right. Fresh COVID had a big impact because what? I don't even have to leave my house to get to a school and speak to a human in person. I can just sit here, turn on Zoom or whatever platform they were using, and I can just watch the lecture. And I can sit here in my room, just take my notes and memorize my stuff, take the test, which is also online, and then boom, now I've got a degree and I didn't have to talk to a single human being to get that achievement.
It really enforces not having to be alone or not having to be around people. Sorry.
Yeah. Working from home. I don't have to, if I wanted to, with my technical background, I could sit in my apartment and make all the money I need just without having to speak to another person. I could just have chat. I don't even have to get on a Zoom call. Like I say, I do not do Zoom calls. I only do text chat. Send me documents, send me requirements. Here's your deliverable as I mean, that's just as a developer, like that's one, situation. But even content creators, if I'm a copywriter, if I'm like anybody, like a virtual assistant or whatever, I don't have to do that. People don't need other people. And the only thing now that you see people as is an obstacle to your life,
Mm.
right? If I want to go somewhere, okay, now, dang it, I don't have to talk to these people, but son of a bitch, this guy's in my way. He needs to get out of my way.
Mm.
Oh, I have this thought, and now having to communicate with this person means I'm not going to have this thought, or gosh, now I'm realizing how awkward it is to talk to another human being. And I don't like the person I've become because I can't talk to another human being because I'm so self conscious and nervous and anxious about the whole situation. I want this guy to go away. I want this man to get in the elevator, go downstairs so I don't have to be in this situation anymore.
Right, right.
This isn't the situation that I'm used to or I'm comfortable with.
Well, let me bring up something else. Let me bring up something else, and I want to get your take on this. Something I think maybe I would say since 9/11. Okay, I think it probably starts with 9/11. I think that there is a culture of fear now. I kind of want to get your take on that because you did spend time in the military, and you have a whole interesting, amazing, and for the family, it was like terrifying journey with the military stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we can backtrack a little bit. We'll come back to this because I definitely want to dive way deeper into what we're talking about here. But um, yeah, I'm just curious about first your take on the fear culture. What do you think about that? Do you feel like people are more fearful now than they used to be?
Absolutely. And before, like, so people have always been afraid, right? But that level of fear is in direct relationship, in direct proportion with the amount of messaging that they get.
Mm,
Right. Let's go back again. Right. Uh, before broadcast, before TV, before the mass media, before, profits were to be gained from gossip and telling news and stories and whatnot about this and that, right? You basically just had word of mouth that would
mm,
teach you, that would show you what the news is. Maybe the printing press, you get a newspaper or some kind of journal or something or pamphlet, but you got word of mouth. And that word of mouth would either be good news or bad news. And there wasn't really much money to be gained from the word of mouth. It was just the only gain you got was attention, right? It's like, oh, I'm going
mm,
to tell you about what happened in this town over here when the volcano erupted and the lava destroyed the town. Oh, wow, that sucks. I guess we better not live near a volcano, right? And that was pretty much it, right?
right.
Um, then you had the printing press, then you had TV, you had radio, and now all of these things, whatever was profitable for the media company, which usually is things that's going to get them attention,
Mhm,
right? That money follows attention. That's how the saying goes. They're going to say whatever gets the most attention. Well, guess what gets the most attention? Fear, right? Or
mm,
fear-based news. That's what creates the most attention. Bad news creates the most, oh, a puppy was born and I petted the puppy, or oh, these two people got married. Okay, I don't know who they are. All right. Well, that's nice that they got married. Okay, that has a certain level of attention. Okay. And then there's you're going to die. All right. Exponentially more attention comes from
Right.
that than, oh, a child was born in the night at the hospital. Like, okay, okay, great. Not my kid. I don't even know the parents, you know?
Right. Right.
So there's a difference. But you sitting there are going to die in 10 minutes tomorrow. If you talk to someone and they're not
Yeah.
wearing a mask, you are going to die. That's the difference, okay? Now, before you had word of mouth telling you were gonna die. And then you had the printing press, you had the newspaper, then you had the radio, you had TV telling you were gonna die. And the media companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, they had so much power because they were the ones who had control over the knowledge that you were going to die or not, right? And they used this to their advantage. Okay, this is me on a little kind of industry rant here. But guess what? Now we've got these things. We got these phones and we've got big tech. We've got all the social media companies. We have, you know, YouTube, what have you, Google. And now they also have the power to tell you that you're going to die. And they also have the power to tell you all these horrible things to get your attention.
Right.
And money follows attention. And so
And they double down with like algorithms and stuff. So if you
Oh,
watch something
they
and
don't double down. They don't double down, okay? I mean, doubling down is an understatement,
yeah,
okay? They they 10x, they
right.
100x down, okay,
Right.
on the fear. I mean, just go back to 2020, 2022, okay? I mean, people were, people would just freak out
Yeah.
if you weren't just wearing a mask. You were not vaccinated, you were not, you know, quadruple boosted or dodeca booster. Like, I don't know how many booster shots they told us to get, right?
Right.
Um, told us to get.
We all
Anyway,
got them, didn't we,
uh,
guys? Huh?
Nope.
I don't think so. Okay, anyway, but listen,
But do you think that there's some part of it that is that people like to feel morally superior? So like there is a big part of fear, but this like you're not boosted, you're not wearing a mask. You feel it was these people trying to feel control and like moral superiority?
there may have been there's always an element in society. There's actually like a personality, right?
Yeah.
That fulfillment for that personality is them knowing that they have control over their environment, right?
Right.
Like I am, not me, but hey, maybe, right? Everybody has a little bit of that, right? But yeah, there are those people who are like, I don't have control over my environment. I am like absolute extreme control. Then I'm uncomfortable and I'm unfulfilled and I'm unhappy. Okay, so there is that. That's not the majority, thank God. It's called the dictator complex or whatever. We can go into that later, but there is there's a it's honestly it is I think a lot of it was just 100% fear based. And they believed whatever the news and media sources that they consumed
Mhm.
were that it was best for society, for everybody to do this thing to address this problem. And they believed it. And if you weren't doing that thing to address this problem, this disease, then you're the enemy.
Mm.
You're going to kill me. You're going to kill people. I don't think that there's like this. I don't feel like people are like inherently still. I mean, this is the eternal optimist. I don't think like people are still just evil and just controlling and want to be moral or have this moral high ground or feel something. Everybody thinks they're the good guys. They do. They think, hey, we need to force people to do this and that because it's good. It's good for people to do this. We're trying to save. They absolutely believed that they were saving lives as much as a person believes they are saving lives by going to war, or they absolutely believe that I'm saving a life by recycling this water bottle in the ocean, or this, I'm going to clip the little rings on the six pack, whatever that thing is. I'm going to clip the rings so
I'm
that
gonna
a
use a paper
turtle
straw.
doesn't die, right? They actually believe they are the good guys. And
Mm,
everybody wants to be good, right?
mm.
It just depends on what is good to you. So so it's absolutely gotten horrendous because there's never been so much messaging in such a short period of time on such a powerful emotional level all the time. The minute you
Mm.
open your eyes to the minute you close them, you are constantly bombarded with this stuff because of the phone, because of the computers, because of technology. It is um yeah, everything that we're seeing now is because of the environment that we're
Do
in.
you,
And yeah, people are 100x more fearful than they were before.
do you feel like uh, so so tying into this culture of fear idea, your background to continue with your superhero origin story. You were in Bluefield. I mean I know a lot of it, but we'll skip ahead. But um, at one point, you go to Georgetown University. That's where you go to school, right? You study computer science. You get out of Georgetown. You get a great job. You're making a bunch of money. Okay, and at some point, to everyone in the family's surprise, you decide that nope, this is not for me. I don't need this money, dang it. I'm going to join the military and I'm going to become an elite operator of some kind. So tell me about that, because if we're talking about fear, I know personally, do not have those fears. I'll say it outright. I have those fears. I always am thinking, I'm always thinking about like, how's this going to look? What's someone going to think? Da 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 da. You are the opposite of me. You're like, I want this thing. I'm gonna go do it, and I don't give a shit like what people think about it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say totally not care, but you're like, look, if it's not gonna hurt anybody, if it's not whatever, I'm doing it. So tell me about that journey that you took into joining the military, and then I do want to talk about certain aspects of your military career and how that plays into all this.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know better than everybody. I mean, I was doing a great I was doing a great run, in Washington, D.C. Had my degrees, had my security clearance. I was on the defense contractor, easy street track. I mean, it wasn't easy. I had to maintain my skills, obviously. I mean, I was still doing work. But yeah, I was a software developer in Washington, D.C. with a security clearance. Ooh, ah, and I'm basically set. I could still be doing the same work today, adjusted for inflation, making the, comparable money. And that was fun at first. Let's call it that, right? I mean, we grew up, sure, medical family, right? Not the most uncomfortable situation to be in. But
Mhm.
let's face it, we didn't he didn't baby us. Like, he didn't give us anything, right?
Yeah,
I
dad. Yeah,
I I grew up feeling like, "Man, I want some freaking money. I'm hungry for money. I want a job so that I can go
cheap
and."
Indian parents is what you're saying.
Cheap Indian parents, yes. No, save money, right? Like, that's how I grew up. I grew up like a third worlder, in a first world country.
Right.
And no, you cannot have, no. So I was just like, man, I need money. I felt poor, right? Even though we weren't. Interesting how that works. So yeah, I wanted a freaking job. And yeah, I was like, I'm in this for the money. Did I like computers? Yeah, I loved computers. They're cool.
I mean, you were a gamer hardcore. So actually, sorry, I know we keep going on tangent, but this I would sit and watch you play games. I was the first Twitch fan. I
You
have a
were.
Twitch streamer that I was a fan of. I would
You were
watch you
the
play all these
first streamer.
games.
I was streaming in person and you were watching in person.
Yeah.
We can't even do that anymore. We can't even watch another person play a video game in person anymore. Now we have to do it on Twitch.
Yeah.
Well, they don't even make
Damn
games
it.
two-player to play on the
Right.
same
To
console
play in
anymore.
the same room. Right. I think you have to have like
Wow,
a
really?
special
Yes,
Nintendo
there's no
like thing.
couch
Yeah.
co-op is a
Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
genre now. Like,
Yeah.
they call it couch co-op. So,
Couch co-op is a thing. They had to
yes,
give it a
What?
term.
yes.
Holy shit. Yeah, man.
You know what games still make quote unquote couch co-op every time? Super Mario.
That's
You can
it.
still play Super
Mario Kart
Mario
and
with
Super
a
Mario.
second
Yep.
controller.
At least they've kept that tradition alive. You know, I can sit there and my friend can sit there. Madden. I mean, come on, the football games still, the sports games, right? They still should be two
Yeah, yeah.
dudes can
Sports
sit on a
games you can
couch
still
and
play
okay,
on the
okay.
couch. Yeah.
Next,
Oh,
okay.
thank God. Oh, I thought that was gone too, but it's going away. You know, that's going away too.
Yeah, well, just because you can
Um,
do it doesn't mean people are using it.
yeah, exactly.
Right,
You
right.
know, watching me play, you know, Ravine would be there. He would be like, "Wow, Kathan's good at this game. I want to see him beat this level." And oh, how is he going to
We
beat
w-
this
we would
boss?
we would
You know?
strategize a little bit. I'd be like, "You gotta jump over this pit at this time,
Yeah,
like
yeah. And
now."
then
Okay,
you'd
yeah.
move the controller because moving the controller gets the character to move better. You move the controller, that got you to win. Good job. What are you
But I
doing?
still do that,
Stop doing
and then people make fun of me, right? They'll be like, "Oh, look at this boomer! Like you move with your controller."
Okay, the conversation we're having right now, I don't think anyone under the age of like 30 can have this kind of conversation, right? Because yes, we were playing a video game, but we were playing with each other. We were in each other's presence. We had an emotional presence. And then mom would make us lunch. Yeah, and then my friend's mom would make us sandwiches, and we'd eat the sandwiches, and we'd be like, "Man, that was a great grilled cheese sandwich. Let's go back and play some more." And then we go down, and then she would say, "Kevin, go outside. You've been playing too many games." And we're like, "Okay." And then we'd go outside and we'd throw the football or we'd, you know, play catch, you know, with a glove, baseball, whatever. We'd walk around, we'd hike, we'd go to the park, we'd walk the dog, we'd do all kinds of cool stuff. And we did it in person. We're not even doing that anymore. All right, man, where were we? Yeah, but listen, I was
But you went to that's what led you into, like, computer science and that type of stuff is playing games
man,
and that whole
honestly,
world?
like what led me into computers was just I didn't like being a pre-law guy in college.
Mm.
And so I switched. And then I didn't like being a pre-med guy in college, right? All the while I'm at freaking Georgetown, which isn't cheap. I do not recommend anybody go to college at all unless there's a very specific thing that you're trying to accomplish. And honestly, not even that, unless there's a very specific type of human that you're trying to network with. You do
Mhm.
not need college to learn how to get through life. You need college, maybe, or it can be a supplement to your life to build those networks. But yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I ended up in computer science.
If
Yeah.
someone does go to college and they don't know what they're doing and they're just doing it because their parents are like, "You gotta go to college," or whatever, my
Man,
number
oh
one
man.
recommendation is just network like a motherfucker when you're there.
Yeah.
Because I even now, I have from high school and college, I still like, Brian, Brian, and we'll get him on the
Yep.
show at some point, but that I met him in college, and
Yeah.
I just maintained that relationship
Mhm.
over time, and, I mean, I would say that's the most valuable thing I got out of college is meeting certain
Yeah.
people and keeping up with them over the
It'll
years, and
change your
they ended
life.
up
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the number one thing.
Your peer
Yeah.
group will change your life. So find the best peer group, and a good place to find it maybe is college if they're like, you know, in the right field or have the right motivations. If they're a bunch of drug addicts in college, then that's not a very good peer group, but it's
Or a bunch of
that's
crazy, super progressive weirdos. Although they're now in hi positions of power, so hey,
yeah,
just
I know.
saying.
Yeah. If you want to be a whatever, ruling the world, then yeah, go join the Fabian Society or whatever the heck it is they have in college these days. So anyway, yeah, ended up in computers, and I loved it. Right, it was fun. Computers are at the time, computers were like the shit because all the internet was like new. And I always played, computer games. I was like, oh yeah, make some games, it'll be fun. Never got into games, never did any game development, but it was a good job. I only needed a 4-year degree. I didn't have to do this whole 16 years of medical. And I guess legal was good, but it wasn't as boring as legal. I was more technical in my mindset, and I could make something happen. I could do this on a keyboard, and then I'd make something, and it would do exactly what I wanted, and it was repeatable, and bugs notwithstanding. But yeah, I had I had like a sense of power with a computer. It's like I can tell this computer what to do, and it'll freaking do it. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get lazy. It doesn't get unmotivated. It just
Mhm.
works. Wow. And so I think like a lot of like technology folks, I think like get kind of a rush out of being able to, like build something, build a machine that works, right? I liked that and I worked it. And it's like, okay, cool. This is fun. And I got my degree and I got my master's degree. And then uh basically started my career. And now, oh, glorious money. Oh, it just flowed into my bank account and I had money and I could now go buy a car and I could now go get laser eye surgery that I was never allowed to get because it was too dangerous, and I could now I have 20/20 vision to this day. I was like, this is fantastic. And I'm doing this. Me, you know, because I have, a marketable skill that I actually kind of like. Okay. And I don't know, maybe that probably messed up the
But
chair.
how did when did the switch up happen? When was the moment you were like, nah?
Okay, but all things come to an end at
Okay,
some point, right?
because I've
And
never really talked to you about this. I don't think
you
we've ever
haven't.
really.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
we had a
yeah.
maybe like
You've kind of
briefly.
been there, and you're like, oh, I kind of
What?
figured that it was like, oh, that's just Kathan,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
That was what it
Kathan's
was. It's
gonna
like
do
that's
Kathan
just how
shit.
he is.
Yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
but yeah, all things come to an end. After a while, and maybe this was because I was in Washington, DC, because I mean, let's face it, Washington, D.C. isn't the coolest town in the world. It's a very reputable city, right? It's got some interesting, implications because it's the capital of the United States, right? And that's where all the power is and politics and la la la. But let's face it, okay? Bureaucracies are motherfucking boring. And so's the software they use. Okay.
mhm.
And I was working on this boring ass shit and I got tired of it. And when you get tired of it after about 2 or 3 years, maybe even 4 years of working on this boring ass shit, now what? It becomes about nothing really more than wine, women, and song. And what do you need for wine, women, and song? You need more money, right? So I started playing this money game where it's like, okay, I'm going to go over to this defense contractor and see how much they'll pay me. Okay, cool. Let me put my resume back out on the job sites. Oh, look, there's another defense contractor over here who will pay me even more money because they got a bigger fat check from the government, okay, for their whatever product they were selling to whatever agency at whatever military, organization. So that's what I did. I was kind of a mercenary. And even then, and yes, great. I was at like the 95th percentile in Washington, D.C. for salary. And, I started a small little freelance company so I could make even more money as a corp to corp guy. And then that got annoying. And so I said, "Look, I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I've got this money. I'm going on these great vacations, a nice car, nice house, blah blah blah." And I had to eventually come to grips with this like life decision. It's like, is this truly what I want to do? For however like what's the next step, right? I'm always looking like what's the next step? What's the future hold? I'm either going to continue to do this mercenary computer guy work, okay, or I'm going to build up this business, which I was doing, in a way. Do I really want to build up this business? Or is there something deep down inside that was missing that needed to be addressed? Much
Mm.
more importantly than my money situation, my professional situation, you know, had a great girlfriend at the time, you know, I was dating, and it was, uh, my romantic life, my love life was great, but there were these 2 things that were missing. Number 1, I hadn't done anything that I thought was uh, truly dangerous. I hadn't done anything that was truly challenging. I hadn't done anything. I'm in a very experiential person. Okay, I hadn't experienced these certain aspects of life, and I was already 28 years old. Like I hadn't experienced so many things, and we get to
Let
what
me
they
let me
are.
let me
But
well, let me take a moment there. So, you said things that were dangerous and challenging. What do you mean by that? Do you mean physically dangerous, like they frightened you? And what's the okay, so let's start there. What's the what for you, what is the fascination with that? For me, if something's dangerous, I do everything in my power to avoid it. And I don't feel bad about that at all. I'm like, "All right, good. I'm out of danger."
okay, like let's take skydiving for example, right?
Mhm.
Let's take skydiving. I wanted to skydive. Like I wanted to be in a parachute, right? Um, sure. Oh my God, that's dangerous as hell. You know, your parachute doesn't open, you're dead, or you're crippled, or seriously injured. Oh, but guess what? The guys who do that, like they love it, right? And
Mm,
they have so much fun and they enjoy it. That enjoyment, that fulfillment, okay, that to me outweighs the risk of death.
mm,
That high, that
mhm,
emotional and mental and spiritual even high
mm.
is so much more important. It is worth dying to get that. It's worth it,
Interesting.
okay?
Yeah.
It's worth it to bask in the glory of whatever that damn blast experience is. All right, surfers, they catch the tube of a lifetime, right?
Mhm.
But they go out in shark infested waters, and they could get eaten by a shark. It's worth catching the tube of a lifetime. If it
Right.
means getting my leg bit off by a shark, fine, so be it. Okay. And that's what the military was to me. Okay.
Okay.
Along that same line of thinking and that same emotional kind of connection with making that decision.
Do you feel that the danger aspect is separate from the challenge aspect, or are they one and the same?
No, 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 no. The danger is ignored. It doesn't register.
Right, right,
Okay. I know this might like kind of be
right,
hard. You don't think about
right,
dying. The
right.
only thing you think about is the glory of the experience,
Mm,
whether it's the achievement or the euphoria that you get from whatever it is. It's we don't even think about it. It's just there's something wrong. Like there's nothing there. I'm
right.
gonna jump out of this airplane and oh, there's the ground. It's really hard, and I'm falling at an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second. Meters per second squared, whatever physics here. Yeah, that's how fast I'm accelerating, and I reach terminal velocity, and that terminal velocity, if I hit that, it's gonna kill me. But man, when I open that parachute and I'm like, gliding down, or when I'm like just in total free fall and I've got the wind and I can control where I'm going with just the turn of my head, the bank of my body, and I just have this incredible emotion that's surging through me while I do this. Hey, if I hit the ground, it's all good, man. It was worth it. It was worth it in the end. Die happy. Yeah, die with a smile on your face.
But
Yeah.
that's different than what you're saying the second thing is, which is the challenge of it, that you enjoy challenging situations. You prefer let me ask you this, you prefer challenging situations or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if I think if the human that has like everything, I think they have serious health issues, right? Like rich kids, they
Mhm.
grow up like super rich, not like us, right? Or they're actually rich kids that are actually given things, okay, by their parents, okay, not slapped across the face because you won a Nintendo game. Uh, yeah, yeah, like rich kids that have
We did
had
not get actually
everything,
slapped across
okay?
the face, just to be
Rich kids that
clear.
have had everything. Yeah, I know.
We
We
got
were
we got
never
s
abused. We were
we got
never
an
abused.
emotional piece only.
Emotional slap, yes. Emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
But, like, kids who, like, have had everything, right?
Mhm.
Man, they're miserable as fuck. They turn to drugs, like, the drugs are the only
Yeah.
thing that gives them any sense of, like, peace and happiness. They focus more on, like, what other people think more than anything else because that's the only why? Because that's the only achievement they can get. I guess
Mm.
what? Like, I don't know, there was that one TV show. What the hell was it? I never even watched it. Gossip Girl, right? It's like about all these like rich kids in Manhattan, like Upper East Side people, and they have everything. And their entire like lifestyle is wrapped up around like the social dynamics of their little
Right.
rich people society
Right,
because
right.
that's the challenge. The only challenge left in life when you have everything is your social status and
Mm.
getting to the highest levels of the social status. Okay.
Yes.
This is where all these secret societies come in. These people have everything. They're probably super rich. I mean, they are super rich. They're the richest
Mhm.
people in the world. The only thing they don't have, though, is the satisfaction of their sexual urges, because
Mhm.
most of them are illegal in nature, and or okay, and or their position, their position
Right.
in their circle
Right.
of their elites. I want
Yeah.
to be the elite of the elites. It's the only challenge left. Okay, so if there is no challenge to a human being, they're unfulfilled and they're miserable and they're probably, do, things that would maybe even harm themselves. Okay. So
Right.
yeah, do I like challenge? Sure. Do I seek out challenge? No, that's not my person. There is a personality. We can talk about this on another show. There is a personality that intentionally seeks out challenges. I have a little bit of that, but no, for me, it's experiences. The euphoria of, I guess, the euphoria of achieving that experience. That's kind of my driver.
Walking through the fire and coming out the other side
Well,
that
what was it
it's
like
just
to
for the
walk through fire? What was it
right.
like to walk through fire? How painful was it?
Right, right.
Literally, how painful? I wonder how painful it'll be to walk through fire. Special Forces
Right.
selection. How painful will that be?
Right.
Jumping out of an airplane and landing, okay, on the ground
Well, let's
correctly.
talk about
What will
okay,
that be like?
so
Okay.
in the military,
Yeah.
so you from what I remember, you tried to you were older, right? For military age. You
Oh,
were in your
yes.
late 20s, 30s? Yeah. Most military guys are what, in their early 20s?
Okay, yeah. Most guys come in when they're I say like a lot of guys will come in when they're 18, right out of high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Officers definitely will come in right after college, 21 if they're direct commissioned or whatever, if they go to OCS right after college. They'll come in their early 20s. Enlisted guys are kind of all over the place, but it is rare to find an enlisted guy come in when they are like older than 25.
How old were you?
I was 34 years old,
Wow.
1 year before the age cutoff, in fact. I think
Oh,
they've
wow.
raised the age cutoff since because I think they're having a recruitment problem right
So
now.
you were my age now. Like I'm turning 35 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Imagine joining the army right now, Fresh.
That no. No.
Not
That's
only
No.
well,
what
okay, well, here's the thing. You didn't the army wasn't your no offense to the army, but it wasn't
Oh,
your first
dude,
choice,
we got
right?
a whole story here. I didn't even want to go into the army initially. I was trying to be in the Navy. I was trying to be a sailor. And I wanted to go to a special operations unit in the Navy. And this was when I was 29, 28, 29 years old. I made this decision to do it. Well, That took forever. Okay. And it eventually was a failed attempt. I didn't get the waivers that I needed. I could have continued to fight, but then, I walked across the hallway to the army recruiter and I saw the, you know, uh, I saw the army special operations diver coming out of the
Mm.
water on the pamphlet. I'm like, hey, what is this? Who needs the SEAL teams when we've got this? And so I looked, and I'm like, okay. And then I talked to the recruiter, like, oh yeah, don't worry about all that shit you're going through with the Navy. Don't worry about it. We got you, bro. Just come on over here. Yeah. Like, all right. Oh man. So I went over there and recruiters lie. Okay, always remember this. But this guy wasn't as big of a liar as the Navy guy. So I got into the Army. It took me 2 whole years of dealing with the recruiting issues. That's a whole story in and of itself. But yeah, it was a 5-year journey just to get into the military for me. All
Wow.
the while I was working, in technology in DC. And then I finally did it. And yep, August 27, 2013. That was my BASD. And I went down to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Is that 11 years and a day?
Yeah.
2013. 11 years, yeah, ago. Yeah. I was in for almost 10 years. Just under 10 years. So yeah, I got out 2 Mays ago. So May 1st of 2023 I got out. Yeah, that was my ETS date. So yeah, that was a nice, long, satisfying run. Let's call it that.
And you ended up making it into special operations units. Can we talk about that stuff?
Oh man, that was gosh, so many things to unpack. Uh, that was Man, that was a saga. But I did, yeah. Eventually, yeah, I am, a former Green Beret, United States Army Special Forces. I was at 19th Group. It was in the National Guard. It is a thing. There is a National Guard Special Forces units, same exact qualification course as the active duty guys. You are basically in the National Guard. You're basically an active duty guy while you are in training, and it's a long training pipeline. Sometimes
What does that training entail? What does it look like? I know there's a lot of pieces to it, but I guess my question would be, what are the challenges of that training that you had to overcome? Maybe you could talk about the challenges you faced and how you overcame them and the lessons you learned.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some major, major challenges, especially well, one so yes, I was an older guy, right? However, I was in shape, okay? I was really fit. And you
Hmm.
can be a fit guy even at
Yeah.
34, okay? I was faster than a lot of the 18 and 21-year-olds, okay? I wasn't the
Mhm.
fastest, that's for sure, but, I was pretty good. I was kinda in the middle of the pack.
Is the generation coming in? I mean, you're saying there's a recruitment problem, but do you feel like they are grossly out of shape, for lack of a better term?
I think across the board, let's call it every new service member, okay? Across the board, without a doubt, across the board, the average, you know, new guy is in worse shape than before, okay? Just because of society, right? The Vietnam era guys, they didn't have video games. They didn't have, you know, social media and phones and TV, right? But a lot of guys in Vietnam, they didn't even own TVs, right?
They were probably playing soldier.
They were playing solo, or they were playing sports, or they were out, or they were farmers, or they had physical type jobs. Hands down, yeah, they were, in better shape. Then here comes TV, here comes computers and video games. Okay, I mean, we're from a video game generation, right? We're a part of PlayStation generation, whatever. Sure. My crop of guys who came out, or I said my generation, right, that went in was also kind of sort of out of shape, right? Now it's not just PlayStation generation, it's phone generation, it's study from home generation, it's COVID generation. It's even more sedentary a lifestyle. So sure, they're going to come in. That doesn't mean they can't get in shape. It just means, hey, when they show up for basic training, probably out of shape. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You got to include this. It depends on the job. I went in for infantry, okay? And every guy going in for infantry kind of sort of knows what that means. It's a physical, athletic, combat, fighting job. You're not going to sit in the office with papers and you're shuffling them around. There's plenty of jobs in the army that do that. You're not going to be in some medical clinic looking at x-rays and, taking temperature, okay? No. You are going to be walking, running, fighting, carrying heavy equipment. You're going to have a big heavy ass thing called a rucksack on your back. You're going to be in the field. You're going to be in the woods. You're going to be in the desert, for weeks, at times. Hey, no video games out there, and you're going to be still carrying said heavy equipment everywhere you go. Okay. Shooting your weapons and operating, this equipment. It's all physical. So if you are coming in, I think today still, if you're a new soldier and you're coming into the infantry, I think the standards are still good that you're going to have to be kind of sort of an athlete to do that. The fighting job. Yeah. I mean, I see guys come in and maybe, okay, maybe they're, now there can be females in the infantry. Okay. So there's maybe that kind of brings down some standards. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe the girls. I don't know the details, right? Um, specifically, I was never a recruiter and I would definitely was never a drill sergeant. So I don't know. I have recently made friends with a guy who was a drill sergeant and you know, they all kind of get disappointed with those who can't cut it, right? They want to train you up to be a contributor, right? And someone who can fight. But hey, not everybody gets through it, and it's always been like that. There have always been Leonard Lawrences, okay, from Full Metal Jacket. There have always been the Leonard Lawrences of the basic training platoon, okay, always. And so, you know, but I think it's the job, okay? Especially if you wanna go into special operations because there's so much material out there that tells students or tells, new soldiers, new, service members, "Hey, this is what you have to be able to do, period." You will not be a Navy SEAL unless you can do at least this level of physical activity, okay?
So you feel that when it comes to special operations and those types of elite units, that the standards are still high. The standards are there's
Yeah,
still
because
the right
yeah,
expectations set for who
yeah,
gets to
yeah, I
join.
think so. Yeah, I don't buy into the whole like, it was tougher in my day," like I'm not totally down with that. Like the regular army, the regular navy, okay? Those non-special operations, let's call it non-combat units. Sure, there is a decline, but that's just because they're coming in from a civilian lifestyle
Mhm.
into a job that is very similar to a civilian lifestyle, okay?
Right,
But if
right.
you're gonna be the guy who's going to grab the other guy and, like, just and fight him or there's the enemy, shoot them, like, that's a different mentality.
Mm,
That's an athlete's mentality. That's a fighter's kind of job. You should
right.
have at least some fighting sense. You don't have to be a fighter. Like, you don't have to be this kind of guy that was an MMA competitor, but
Mhm.
at least you should have this kind of circuit in your brain that says, you know what? Yeah, I want to fight. I want to do this. I'm not doing this for the college money.
Right, right.
There's many other jobs that you can do and contribute to the war effort and get your college money or get your benefits or whatever.
Do you feel that in the more elite units, do you get people that are a little bit more, for lack of a better word, let's just say have a lack of empathy? Maybe the empathy switch is off. Or do you feel like I mean, what kind of personality is a person that joins an elite unit? Are they a killer? Do they have killer instinct? or is it just a normal person? It's like, I got a job to do and I want to be great. What's the mentality?
All right. So yeah, I was in training for a long time, right? I was it took me 3 tries to get into special forces, okay? Failed miserably the first time, failed even more miserably the second time. Okay? Even though I got farther in the training, I failed even more miserably the second time. I've been around the quintessential guy, okay? And it is not who you would think. I would argue with all of my experience, well, not that I have as much as, others, but with all of my experience, I think that the guys who are in special operations are even more empathetic and, more um loving and brotherly, okay,
Wow. Okay.
than the regular guys. Wait, hang on. Okay, there is a caveat to that. They are more empathetic and they are more loving and they are more brotherly with their side, with
Okay.
their guys to their left and right, the guys on their team.
I could see that because people tend to need like you need to love something in order to want to protect it, or you need to cherish something in order to want to protect it. If it's just yours and you don't care, then you don't have that other part of the instinct where you get the aggression.
Yeah. I had and the reason, okay, so the reason I failed is because I was not like that at first. Okay. I was kind of self centered in my thinking. Okay. And it's, and one instructor, one cadre in training, actually, they have these little like sit downs with you and they'll counsel you and they'll say what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. And, we had this conversation and he said he doesn't even blame me for having that. One, I was older, but two, I came from a background where it was all you. You have to go get the A. You have to go do good in school. You need to be the top of your class. You need to get into college and have the best college application. You need to do all the studying on your own. You need to get ready for the exams. You need to graduate. You need to go get the job. You need to prepare for the interview. You need to perform as an individual worker at your job. You need to go and get promoted yourself. And then you need to start the business. All you. You. And if you don't fucking do it, you're a piece of shit. Okay. What sports did I play? Tennis. You are the one player on this court in singles tennis. I didn't really play doubles very much, but singles tennis, you are the one player on this court. Okay. Um, what was the other one? I was a shooter. Okay. It's just you and your rifle. I was a champion rifle shooter. Okay. It's just you and your rifle and go shoot that target and get a bullseye. Okay. And you get all the points. I never played any team sports. I was a rower, sure. I was a rower. Okay. I was in a crew. But I mean, what am I doing? I'm doing sweep oar like this, and I'm my athletic ability. Me, I have to be fit so that I can keep up with the team. I'm not throwing a ball and I'm not, doing layups. I'm not getting rebounds. I'm not on a team of 11 guys. And this is my position. And if I don't do well with my position, then this guy's coming through to me and he's going to sack the quarterback. I wasn't, hike me the ball and help me get through this line so I can score this touchdown. I didn't play football. I didn't play baseball. I didn't play basketball, right? Hockey, none of those team type sports, lacrosse, you name it, water polo. I didn't play any of those. It was all individual sports. And my background was so academic, and academic is all you, and so professional is you. Now, at 34 years of age, I'm coming into the Army, and everything, especially in combat arms, everything is team, team, team. And if you don't have a solid love and foundation with team dynamics, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Nobody ever talks about that. Okay. Like, I mean, if you're like an aspiring special operator, okay, out there in the audience, okay, and you maybe identify with my background, fix it first before you go in to any combat unit because I had trouble in the infantry too because of the way that I thought. I wasn't a team player. It wasn't the virtue of being a team player was not instilled in me as a youth. I got my ass handed to me. More people hated me in the military than they loved me because of this issue. I had to go to counseling. I had to go to a counselor to, like a mental health counselor to be like, "What the hell am I doing wrong? I am the fittest guy in my platoon. I have the highest scores in all the academic tests that I have, that my sergeants give me. I want to go to all these schools. I'm the most overachiever type guy. Okay. But nobody likes me, or at least very few people liked me. What am I doing wrong?" And then it was an 8-year journey to kind of come out the other end and be like, "Oh wow. Oh wow. That's what I was missing."
I know it's important, and I can guess why, but I wanted to hear from you. Like, what is the importance of that teamwork mentality in the military?
Well, it's survival at a fundamental humanity level. It's a survival instinct, okay? And it's also, a part of the a man's condition, right? We are naturally going to be more appreciative and more like not attracted like in a sexual sense or anything. I don't know, maybe some guys are like sexual about it, but like in a brotherly sense, we are going to be more attracted in a brotherly sense to someone who we have a feeling cares about us,
Right.
about my freaking life.
Right.
I can tell him about how my girlfriend's cheating on me, or I can tell him how I'm having some money issues because I spent too much money at the strip club the other night. Or I can talk to him about, man, my buddy back home is addicted to drugs and I don't know what to do. Or my parents, they're getting divorced. Or my mom, she's, sick. My
Right.
kids, my ex-wife is not letting me see my kids, right? And then to be able to come to you and say these things, and you're like, "Oh man, well that blows. Hey, I gotta go. Listen, let's talk about this later." And then boom, you're off.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel like that guy like gives a shit about you or
Right.
has your
Right.
back. It's like no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I can't trust you like that, how do I trust you in combat?
Okay. So if you don't have this emotional connection, what happens when the bullets start flying?
Fuck that guy, I'm out.
Okay. So there's a little bit of that. Sure. Are you going to try to steal the spotlight? One of the things is called Spotlight Ranger. Okay. And Spotlight Ranger is where, sergeant's in the room. Look at me, sergeant. I'm so good a soldier. My uniform is perfect. I got a perfect score on my PT test. And you know what? I got 100 on my academics. And my rifle is perfectly clean. Look at me. Right? Meanwhile, everybody around you knows what you're doing. Okay. Trying to be teacher's pet, spotlight ranger. Okay. And nobody likes that because that again. Now I didn't do that, right? I was just being me. However, I'll tell you what I did do. At the end of the day, oh, finally, we're released. Let's go get dinner. Let's go to the gym. Let's go have a good time. Hey, Chand. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm heading back to my house. I'll see you, man. See you tomorrow. Boom. I'm out. I'm going back to my wife at home and my life that I have at home. But I'm
Mm.
E4 specialist, private, basically, private Chand. Okay. Next day, hey, Chan, hey, what's up, man? Hey, you going out tonight? You drinking with us tonight? Oh no, I got a thing. I gotta go
Mm,
get my kid, and I'm gonna do family shit all weekend. See ya. Right?
right.
All of these opportunities to build a connection, a rapport with guys who probably saved my life, probably will end up saving my life at some point. Okay.
Mhm.
I wasn't making them. And if you're not making them, well, what are you making? You know, you're doing
Right.
I brought a civilian type of mindset and lifestyle to something that was the furthest thing from a civilian lifestyle. Because in an infantry unit or a combat unit, special operations unit, it's you and your guys. And you are remember how humans were the only form of entertainment that humans used to have?
Mhm.
Okay. When you're out in the field and you have no video games and you have no phone, and we couldn't take our phones with us or iPads. I tried to take an iPad once. It didn't end well. Uh, we didn't have any of this stuff. Okay. And who do we have? The only form, imagine that, the only form of entertainment a soldier in the field has is another human being
Mm,
and the conversation that you're having with that other human being. And if
right.
you don't embrace that, you're not going to be a part of the tribe. You are not a part of the survival apparatus. You're not, we can't trust you. All right. And a lot of it, and like I am a nonconformist by nature, right? I don't like having all the same gear that everybody else. If I know there's a better product out there, I don't like tying my boots the same way as everybody else. If I know that this way that I tie my boots is an easier way to get my boots on and off, whatever. I'm
Mm,
just, coming up with
right,
stuff.
right.
But you know what I mean? Uh, but hey, why are you tying your boots like that? Don't you see everybody else? Don't you see how we all are tying our freaking boots and blousing our the hem on our pants? Don't you see? Why are you wearing clear eye protection? Why are you wearing clear? Can't you see that we're all wearing dark?
That would drive me crazy, man, because I'm the same way in that regard as you. That's how we were raised. Like,
Why are you so different?
This is why the army's not for me.
yeah, it's not for me. I'm always trying. I frustrate you when we work together, which we'll get to right now. We'll see you soon. But like, I would frustrate you because I'm like, no, 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 we're not gonna do it that way. We're gonna do it this other way because it's better, and I know more than anybody.
And then it's like, no, I'm from the army. Fuck you, do it my way. We're a team. We do what the team says.
It is, how should I describe it? It is what is not said that
Right.
communicates more powerfully than what is said.
Mm,
Humans, I mean, you go back, we used to not be able to like talk. Like we used to not have language,
mm,
right? Words, letters, right? It was, we were either grunting at each other or screaming at each other, okay? Or we had a almost a body language, eye contact, voice tone telekinesis with each other. And you start seeing this when you're in like stressful situations,
mm,
okay, with other humans, particularly men with other men. Women are really good at this. Even today, okay, they have this telekinesis among each other because guess what? They don't play video games. They watch TV and sure they play video games, but they talk. They derive happiness out of attention, right? Men don't need attention as much as women do on a day-to-day basis. Let's call it that.
mhm,
So, okay, cool. But what we do want is, to, acquire resources and go on missions, right? To do things with other men. Okay, well, that's what the men would do in prehistoric days. Now it's all skyscrapers and computers, right? So men don't have that anymore. but women still do. Women still have that, right?
Mhm.
Uh, a woman will not go to a bar alone. Like, I mean, if she is, very dangerous. Watch out for that one. Okay. Yeah, they'll go in 2 or 3, 5 people, five. They'll go as a group. There's something wrong in a woman's mind if she's going out like alone. It's dangerous, right? So they are definitely more communal than men are. But in a military unit or some kind of situation, Walking Dead type situation, man, you need other men for
Mhm.
survival.
Mhm.
And one of the best indications to another man that you are on his side, that you've got his back, is if you do the same thing, you communicate the same way, you wear the same uniform, you have the same clothing, you have the same strategy, you're both operating from the same playbook. If you're
Mm.
operating from the same playbook, he can trust you, you can trust him. Now every dude gets a warm and fuzzy deep down in the heart.
That's fascinating because it makes sense in a military unit why you wear the uniform is not just about
Well,
indications of sides. It's a trust issue. It's
yeah,
there's an
yeah,
expectation of a culture and a value set that you
yeah.
have of somebody wearing the uniform.
Yeah. Well, I mean, uniforms have a very there's a more academic reason for uniforms,
Sure, sure.
but I'm talking let's forget uniforms. The way you carry yourself, what you're wearing. If we're ragtag, if it's Walking Dead, okay, and we're crossing the unfruited plain, right? And we're trying to protect ourselves from zombies, okay? And we're like, "Hey, everybody wear dark colors so that the zombies can't see us." And then Mr. Flamboyant shows up because he wants to express himself and he's wearing hot pink and polka dots. This guy's going to get us killed. Why? What are you doing?
Right.
We telekinetically talked about this, okay, in as many words. Get the fuck out of here, or we're going to, or we'll end up killing the guy, right? If it's
Right,
like
right.
no lawless place, kill this guy and eat him, or kill this guy and feed him to our dogs, right? Who are actually are on our side. Dogs are more on our side than this guy in the pink polka dot shirt. What the fuck's going on here? Okay. So so that's where that is. So I would say, like, just going back full circle, the men in special operations are more empathetic with each other. They're more the bonds are stronger. The and they, they're not like killers. I mean, like if you're in combat arms, you have a killer instinct already. You have this mindset, you have to kind of sort of be a fighter, right? I mean, that's
Right.
what the job entails. That's what's going to be expected of you.
Yeah.
And so I would say that, when it comes to, a special operations unit, these guys are the, kind of the highest, more extreme personality traits come out
Mhm.
than less extreme.
They love hard and they fight hard is what you're saying.
They love hard and they fight hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Big hearts, but also, they gotta turn it on, they turn it on, the killer instinct.
Well, and you're turning it on because you're not really doing it in a way. Yeah. I mean, hey, every guy in combat arms wants a kill, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine. I went because I wanted to kill. That was
Right,
like
right.
that was the experience. I
Yeah.
wanted that experience. I wanted to. There's the enemy, shoot them. There's the enemy, capture them, kill them, whatever. Right.
Right.
Uh, sure, there's that, and every guy wants that point of pride and that achievement. Who's
Mhm.
in that type of unit? But oh no, the drive is much more powerful to kill the enemy when you're going to disappoint your buddies if you don't.
Interesting.
Okay. You will
Right.
kill more passionately to protect your friend or to help your friends or do it with your buddies
Mhm.
than you will if it's just you and a dude on a battlefield and you're the only two guys out there.
Interesting.
And you probably won't even kill him. You're like, I don't need this. Why? Fuck this guy.
Right, right. And the other guy may feel the same way. He may be like, "You know what? We're good. I'm gonna go home, you go home, we live." But if you're in a unit and you have other people that you care about.
Or if it's like a survival situation, it's like there's the other tribe. They're killing all the oxen. We're gonna starve to death. We're gonna starve. if we don't take those oxen for ourselves,
Right.
get them, right?
Right.
And then boom, spears are flying. So
Right.
that's how it goes. And usually there's a leader, who everybody trusts more than anybody else.
Right.
And that leader is making a decision for the group because he's the alpha leader. Okay. And they want him to be the alpha leader. They don't get
Right.
insecure. He's an alpha male and I'm not. They don't. No. This guy is my boy. He is going to keep me alive. He is going to bring me women. He is going to bring me food. I will do whatever this guy says. And then they go and they kill the other tribe.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Food for thought. Yeah. That's military unit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
In
let's
its
switch.
very essence.
Well, let's switch it up to something more cuddly, shall we? A little more loving, a little more friendly, a little more fun, a little more,
Well,
a little more
that's
of a
what See You
party.
Soon's all about, right?
That's what See You Soon's all about, John.
Listen, before we move to See You Soon, I think we got to cheers, Ketan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cheers to you.
thank
We do little toasts. So toast to that.
Cheers to you guys.
Hey, toast to the
Oh, yeah.
U.S. military. Why not? They get a lot of shit all the time. I'm a toast them.
Listen, cheers to the boys in the U.S. military. Fuck the U.S. military as a whole, though.